What's happening, YouTube? It's your homie S. Akuma coming back to you with another video. And today's video pits the top 4 of the Energon Invitational Qualifier tournament match from Glassboro, New Jersey at the comic book store. Shout out to them for holding this tournament. 31 players. It's one of the biggest turnouts we've had over on the East Coast so far. And over to the right, you can see the game has started, and we have anticipation cards piloted by Joe B of Wrecking Rule. And then we have to the left the Blaster deck, Blaster with Fire Drive, Vector Sigma's creation, piloted by Eric Goodhart of Bacon Ice Cream Production. So we have 2 content creators going head to head. Let's see what ends up happening here. So the card deck gets to go first. The cards deck definitely thrives better on going first, being able to start out with B and almost guarantee that it won't, not want to say almost guaranteed, but it's very hard to kill the B on your opponent's first turn when they only have 1 action or 1 upgrade. So the B sends an attack into, looks like Blaster, gets some decent damage on Blaster, and then now Mr. Goodhart drew for his turn, and then I'm assuming he flipped the incoming transmission off the Blaster to deploy one of the cassettes. Looks like he deployed Ramhorn. And you must play the card that you flip off the top of your deck, keep in mind. So if you happen to flip Improvised Shield, you have to equip the Improvised Shield, unfortunately. If you do flip Peace to Tyranny, you can play it, but you do not have to actually play the Peace to Tyranny. It says you may KO a character. Talked about this in a past video. And yeah. So okay, for his action / upgrade for the turn, Eric decided to equip Static Laser of Ironhide on the Fire Drive. He remembered to draw his card. I see a lot of players forgetting to draw their card off of the Fire Drive. I guess it's kind of easy to do, like, you know, you're not really used to it, but characters, you know, doing something when they attack, but gets a very good chunk of damage on B there. Looks like about 9 attack. Static Laser Ironhide, when the character equipped with it, if it's not Ironhide, the character will take 2 damage. So Ironhide puts itself at 8 health total. But I'm sure Eric is totally fine with that, because once a Battle Master is KO'd, it turns into a weapon, and he'll be able to equip it onto one of his other characters. Speaking of turning into a weapon, I'm hoping that Battle Masters from Wave 4 will die and turn into utilities and armors as well. I'm curious if there's any that will do that. That'll be interesting to see. So start your engines, one of the best turns you can, or one of the best cards you can play on your turn 2 for the card deck. So he flips Prowl, and then he plays start your engines, and he plays all out attacks from B's extra action effect on his alt mode side, and a grenade launcher on Cliff Jumper, and he is about to go to town. So he has Bolt 2 on all of his cards, because Prowl gives Bolt 2 to all of his cards when it flips from bot mode to alt mode, and he attacks with about 10 damage into the Fire Drive, definitely KOing it. And he's going to put Eric in a very interesting position, because now Blaster is wide open for 2 attacks from Prowl and Cliff Jumper, who both have Bolt 2. So this could be very crippling for Eric if he can get a KO on that Blaster before he really gets going with his flips and the deploying. So another good attack coming in for about 9 damage into Blaster, I'm going to assume. Can't tell how much damage that was, but I'm pretty sure that Cliff Jumper is going to KO that Blaster then with 9 attack, Bolt 2. Remember, the B already got an attack on Blaster the very first turn. So and yeah, that'll do it. Blaster's out of there and didn't even get to deploy its second character. What a devastating turn. That's ridiculous. All out attacks. Joe's out here making these decks expensive. Thanks, Joe. Now everybody has to go buy 3 all-out attacks. I only have 2. I have to actually still fish for a 3rd one. So thanks for making me have to go spend extra money on another all-out attacks. Psych, no, I'm joking. But it's cool to see that card being put to use, though. Tandem targeting system, not so much. But we have Cliff Jumper and, you know, all-out attacks coming to the forefront. Slipstream, you know, made a scene at top 16 of Origins, you know, a couple months ago. Shout out to Skylar Tipsword for top 16ing with the Origins Open itself with Dreadwing, featuring Slipstream and then the Dreadwing brothers. Alright, so we got a supercharge on the Ramhorn, also equipped it with the duo cannon, which the Fire Drive turns into once it is destroyed as the Battle Master. Ramhorn, even if he does have a force field in his hand, he really needs to get a KO here, that's for sure. So he might even have to burn an attack into Bumblebee there to make it a 2-on-1. But like he ideally would need like both force fields. If he has 2 force fields in his hand, that would be like the most ideal situation. But each time that the Ram Horn attacks, he would need to go back and KO their character, which is going to be a big feat for him. So we'll see how this ends up turning out. Looks like he's going to pitch 1 card for the dual cannon, and he's going to attack with the supercharge, flipping a good bit of cards. It's a very solid flip. The blaster deck is all orange. Keep in mind it has 0 blues in the deck. As far as I know, I don't even think it plays recover cassette. So it's pretty much like a another version of bugs in a sense. You know, it's 4 wide, but it has a different mechanic of how it does things. It's pretty cool. So. Alright, so Cliff Jumper, such a great support character, if not probably the best support character in the game currently. Gonna flip a, oh my goodness. Okay, Joe. Really? Another all-out attacks. He's gonna play the force field on the Ram Horn, but he flips a turbo booster off the anticipation engine. What anticipation engine does is when his character attacks, if he flips an action off the top of his deck, he may play it. Otherwise, it just goes back to the top and then flips with the rest of his flips like normal. So he hit a turbo booster, so it just went back on top, and then he flipped it. The Cliff Jumper is gonna. Oh, wow, he did have double force field. And that's what I was just talking about, jeez. So he has a double force field, and the Ram Horn will live at 1. And actually, it doesn't even matter. So the Ram Horn will live at 1. Even if he went back and KO'd one of his characters, it doesn't matter. Because the Ram Horn still died next turn, unfortunately. Ram Horn has, 8 damage on it. And I still function? Nope, okay. So it gives a handshake there. I guess he's... good job drawing 2 all-out attacks, bro. Must be nice. It's like, nah, I'm messing with you, Joe. So we're going to go to game 2 here. Joe is able to side deck character first. I highly doubt he's side decking a character with this explosive anticipation cards deck. Using the power of anticipation engine and untap effects, and then the power of Cliff Jumper drawing cards can really just overwhelm your opponent. Anytime I see Joe playing, his games are always over. Me and him are like one and the same. We play very fast. We know what we want to do. You know, I think I remember him mentioning in one of his videos about like knowing your deck. You know, just picking up a deck and going to a tournament, like a bigger tournament. It's like you're asking, you know, for yourself to go in the time. Like when you know your deck, you assume like if you're playing an all orange deck, you assume you want to assume the baseline of your attack flips. If you equip the grenade launcher on your Bumblebee, that puts him on your Lieutenant B, that puts him at 10 attack. When you flip 2 cards, you want to just assume that you're going to flip 2 oranges to put them at 12 attack. The same with your opponent's defense. If they're playing blue, you know, assume that they're going to flip 2 blues on defense. Now, where the outlier comes out is when, you know, you flip your double oranges or you flip your whites, or they flip their double blues or they flip their whites to extend into more flips. That's what you can account for, but at base level, you have to account for what you know you can control and what the, you know, the usual outcome is going to be in terms of your flips. Now, sometimes your flips, you know, don't work out in your favor. Sometimes you flip 2 one-shot stand, one-shot falls off your attack flip, and you're like, okay, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't calculate for, you know, that, but things happen. So I say all that to say, you know your deck as best as you can before going into a tournament. That way, you know, you get these reps in with these decks, especially if you have friends to play with and stuff. Take advantage of it. I myself, I wish I had more, but like I do have Wads. You know, shout out to Mech, his new squad that he has there. Shout out to Mech, and I got my boy Maurice still, but you know, life happens, and you know we end up getting busy and stuff. But then when you have those friends that are just constantly always able to play, take advantage of that. I know I would be if I had a chance to. So, because I'm stuck here, you know, shadow playing, just playing myself, and that's the best I got. I've been stressing myself out these past 2 opens, you know. Sure, I ended up taking first place at Origins, and then you know, top 8 at Gen Con, but I sit here and think, it's like, man, if I had like a team of people to, you know, play test with and work out all the kinks, I wouldn't be stressing myself out getting in at the 4th prelim. Like, I really sit here and think, it's like, did I really do anything special? Got in on the 4th prelim. It's like I'm sitting here, but I guess, you know, getting in is getting in, but I don't know, it's just stressful when, like, I guess it was nice about this game so far as you work out the kinks as you go, and you can see them and fix them ASAP, which is nice. So, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would go to a tournament, and it would be that one tournament for the entire weekend to call Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series, and that would be for the whole weekend, you know, Saturday and then Sunday to cut to the top 32 or whatever. And if you went in with a mistake in your deck and you didn't really play test or whatever, you couldn't change your deck. You're playing for 9 to 12 rounds with that deck and with your mistakes or whatever. That, oh man, I wish I would have added one more of this card or that card. And this in Transformers, you're able to play one preliminary and then drop out and then go play another one and kind of work on your mistakes as you go until you finally get there. So definitely liking that about this game, about just games outside of Konami, what I'm used to. The cash prize and all that stuff is all cool and all that stuff, all that too. But all right, so it looks like they're setting up for game 2. Like I said, Joe did not decide to side deck another character. Like I said, I don't see a reason why he would. And I'm going to assume that the Blaster deck is going to go first. A lot of times, these orange decks like these, they definitely want to go first. There are some decks that want to go second, but in these matchups, especially like my deck, the Fire Bee deck, I definitely would rather go first than second. Starting off with Lieutenant, because usually, like right now on this turn, like 100%, I'm going to bet that Eric's going to attack his Lieutenant B. And what this does is if he attacks the Lieutenant B, that shies Joe away from sending the B in on his turn. Because if he does, on Eric's next turn, he gets an action and an upgrade. So a quick grenade launcher supercharge can all of a sudden KO, the B. And then that turns off a lot of Joe's combos in terms of his untaps. A lot of his draw power is gone. A lot of his muscle is gone from the deck. So Eric starts his turn by flipping the Blaster and deploying the cassette Ramhorn, and he has to play the top card of his deck. And like I mentioned from game 1, if you flip a card, you have to play it, or whatever card you flip, you have to play it. And he flipped a Improvised Shield and Improvised Shield, so he has to equip that, unfortunately. Tough one on his Ramhorn, but lo and behold, Eric plays no blue, so he's going to decide not to get Press the Advantage. Not that good of a card in this matchup. If he had like an Improvised Shield or a Piece to Tyranny that he wasn't planning on using in his hand, it's an easy trade out just to have the +2 for another turn. But usually you don't care for Press the Advantage in Autobot versus Autobot matchups. And he did send the B into the Fire Drive to attack it to the B, but that wasn't a big attack though. Only 3 damage on the B. B could probably be sent in and still survive, because Blaster's definitely not going to attack the B. But Joe decides not to do that. He just flips the Prowl, puts Anticipation Engine on Cliff Jumper. Looks like he's setting up. So he's going to attack with the Prowl, put 5 damage on Fire Drive. Blaster's going to reset itself back to cassette mode, or boombox mode rather, I should say. He's the boombox that deploys the cassettes. Now this turn is crucial for the Blaster player. Usually when the Blaster player attacks with Ramhorn this turn, ideally they want to have a Force Field in their hand. So, they use their first turn to either Treasure Hunt or whatever, or Confidence or Incoming Transmission to find that Force Field. And whenever you're attacking to Ramhorn, always assume that they have the Force Field. You don't want to... I don't think you want to play Grenade Launcher Reckless Charge into a Ramhorn. I don't think you would do that anyway. But I also don't think you want to, you just have to tread lightly when attacking to a Ramhorn, because that's usually the Blaster player's game plan. To protect him, only take 4 damage. Or protect him with the Force Field and only take 4 damage, and make you have to waste, more resources going into it. And what's nice about Ramhorn, he has 9 health, so when he takes the 4 from the Force Field, he'll be at 5. So he's nowhere in range of dying to any type of direct damage. Not one anyway, like a one-shot stand and a plasma burst, but that takes 2 turns normally, unless you're playing Brainstorm, in order to kill the Ramhorn without attacking it again. So Eric plays Confidence here, fishing for some cards. Let's see what he's fishing for. He played no other action. Or no, excuse me, he didn't play an upgrade this turn, so maybe he's looking for an upgrade to play. He could be fishing for the Force Field that I was just talking about. Like I said, this turn is crucial in these orange matchups. Okay, he did discard 2 cards already, and he actually decides to play, well, I don't say actually like it was the wrong move. He decides to play Piece to Tyranny. And, I thought he put the Fire Drive under Blaster like it was a cassette. I'm like, Alright, so extra action for the turn off Confidence, plays Piece of Tyranny on Fire Drive, KOing it, putting it on Blaster, and then he's going to put an Erratic Lightning on Ramhorn, attacking into Prowl. Now, I don't know about this move only because the Prowl's not going to die, and what sucks about this is Blaster has to also attack it to the... Oh, I apologize. No, it does not. The Steel Jaw comes out next turn, so never mind. I'm thinking the Blaster has to attack. So I take that back. This is a good play. I forgot about the whole deployed thing for a second. So him killing the Prowl here on this turn, which I'm quite sure he'll do. Free incoming transmission off the top from Blaster's effect. If he kills the Prowl here, then this really turns off a lot of plays for Joe. So let's see how much Eric decides to load up Steeljaw here to KO the Prowl. Doesn't look like he needs too much more help. Prowl has 6 damage on it with the 2 defense, so, and Steeljaw does have a bold 1 himself, so. Alright, for his actual action for the turn, he's going to play 1-shot stand, 1-shot fall, which is great. Didn't even realize, and I always say that normally when they're in that range. Being in that 1-shot stand, 1-shot fall range was really good. Putting the 3 damage on Ramhorn is also really good too, because it will still protect itself with the force field, leaving it at 7 damage. With 7 damage counters. So very solid play there. What's nice here is interesting to see what yeah, it looks like he's gonna attack the B with the Steeljaw. And with the bold 1 attacking for a, was that 4-7 onto B. So what this is gonna do is most likely I wanna say maybe potentially force Joe into attacking with Cliff Jumper. Cause sending B in is just a suicide mission right now. He'll definitely die to Blaster next turn. Blaster potentially might not KO the Cliff Jumper. As you can see, Eric only has 1 card in hand, so he can't pitch a lot of cards to the dual cannon. But Joe decides to draw 1 card for his off the Cliff Jumper. Grenade launcher off Cliff Jumper. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Judge. It's like, no, I'm joking. Grenade launcher on Bumblebee. Okay. He does decide to send the Bumblebee in. And I'm going to assume he's going to attack Steeljaw. Attacking Ramhorn wouldn't be ideal here, especially if he Eric has the force field. But wow, if you notice Eric's flips, he flipped 2 force fields on his defensive flip. So, and he looks like he has he has like 3 cards in hand, 3 or 4 cards in hand. So he could potentially still have the last force field in his hand. So he's sacrificing the Bumblebee here. Bumblebee has 8 damage on it, so it's not in any range of being KO'd by direct damage. Oh wow, look at that. So Eric did not have the force field in his hand. Now Joe wouldn't be able to account for that. He has to, like I said, you have to assume that they have the force field, in this deck every time. So he didn't, but now he definitely has it. 2 for 1 treasure hunt. So Blaster has no damage on it. It's going to send in and definitely kill the Bumblebee, or should kill the Bumblebee, I want to say. And Cliff Jumper actually has a good bit of work to do. Because he'll be attacking to the Blaster, but then everybody will stand, and then Ramhorn gets to attack into the Cliff Jumper after everyone stands. So Joe might be in an interesting position to see about getting out of here to claim victory. So we'll see what happens. Pitches a Peace to Tyranny for the dual cannon, attacking into the Bumblebee to ensure that he gets the KO. Like 8, it's like about 11 damage or so. Bumblebee's out of there. So no all-out attacks or anticipation engine cool stuff this game. Joe flips his B in his scrap pile. What that does is set up for the next turn and to let the Cliff Jumper flip to bot mode. And Cliff Jumper's bot mode effect is he gets +1 attack for each car in your scrap pile. So they have to definitely be in car mode. So he can at most get +2 attack, which is nice. So going to attack into the Blaster here. Is that 13? 9 and 4, 13. Wow, he almost got there. Or 12. Maybe that was 12. Oh, with the 1 defense. Never mind. So he took 12 damage. So, well, yeah, he still kind of technically almost got there. That would have been sick if he'd have got a KO right there. Like, I would have been sick for Eric. Like, damn it, Eric. Yo, look. Another treasure hunt. Following up. All this does at this point is just give more ammo for the duo cannon to send into Cliff Jumper. Now, something to note here. If Eric attacks with Ramhorn and Joe happens to play like one shot stand, one shot fall, or plasma burst, or anything like that. I doubt he's playing plasma burst, but I'm just saying, killing that blaster without it attacking will be very devastating. So, but looking at Joe's list, I don't think he played one shot stand, one shot fall. I think he just plays zap. So, well, I have a feeling Eric's going to attack with the blaster. He's thinking a little bit too much about this. He has a good bit of cards. He has his cards kind of separated. Yep. Okay. Yeah, he's doing it. He's going to send the blaster in. He's going to pitch 6 cards, looks like 5 or 6 cards, going in on that Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper has full health, 14 total. The 2 health, or make that 3 defense rather. 3 defense with the 12 health equals 15 total. And blaster, I want to say he pitched 6 cards. If not, definitely 5 cards. So 5 cards plus his 5 attack, and then the 3 from the dual cannon is 13. 14 so far at face value while he shuffles his deck. 14 with the confidence off of his attack flip. Wow. Joe's going to let him seal his own fate. Flips another orange, and that's going to do it. The game 2, KO that Cliff Jumper. So a lot of this game just seemed like it was decided simply off of the dice roll. So the dice roll is becoming very important in certain matchups. Decks like Cars definitely would like to go first almost all the time. It would not mind. I take that back. It wouldn't mind going second against decks like blue decks because they can still send in, even if they attack your B with a blue deck that's playing Flame War, so they flip Flame War and attack with Aimless into B, and the B takes 1. Okay, sure. They definitely don't mind flipping B the next turn and sending B into Aimless, especially if they have an untap effect and just manipulating, how many attacks they get, etc. Can just be very devastating. So dice roll matters so much, and attacking their big character without being able, with uncontested is just definitely a big advantage. General Optimus has that weakness. I mean, even the other Battlefield Legend, he had that weakness as well. Being able to just attack him first turn, if you can get 2 or 3 damage on him, just makes him easier to kill down the line when you finally get a clear shot on him. And sometimes, who knows, depending on how the way the turn sequencing and untapping goes, you may only get 1 chance to KO that character when you're finally able to attack it. So make it count. Definitely make it count. So Joe's clearly going to go first here. He's going to flip that B just about 99% of the time. That's what you always do, going first. If you have an untap effect as well, too, that's another thing. Like, if you don't have an untap effect, I don't think it's ideal to send in your Lieutenant B, because if you don't happen to draw into one, then all of his, his attacks can all just go into B, and that just kind of ruins your plans. So it hasn't happened yet, but I have a feeling it might happen in this game just because I'm talking about it. I seem to be good for calling stuff, and then it happens right after. And I swear I haven't watched this stuff prior, so it just seems like, because it hasn't happened yet. And Joe asked this question on the rule roundup about playing all out attacks, and then you have anticipation engine. All of your characters attack, but then the character you attack with that has anticipation engine, you flip start your engines or whatever, and you're able to untap. I think WTC ruled that when you untap that car with start your engines or ready for action, etc., that you don't get to attack with it again. The game only sees the characters that you attacked with all out attacks, or the characters that you have untapped when you activate all out attacks to send all your attacks in. So but we'll see what ends up happening here. Well, this was also before the question, so B coming in with 8 attacking into Blaster, getting a nice chunk of damage on him. That's going to leave Blaster open to a 1-hit KO later down the line whenever Joe gets ready to get a clear shot on it. So like I said, sending B in first turn, you have 15 to deal to the B. It's very hard if you're not Insecticons. If you're not Insecticons, putting a grenade launcher on kickback and also still getting lucky, flipping a lot of double oranges, etc. Whites to get to that 15 threshold, and your opponent doesn't flip any blue. It's just not going to happen. On your opponent's first turn, we'll only be able to play one action or upgrade. So he's going to play Treasure Hunt here. He's going to hit 2 for 1, which is nice. Grenade Launcher and Rag Lightning. So that's going to set him up for his next turn when his Ram Horn attacks. He did not get a Force Field, though, so that's something that I'm sure Joe is noting. And even then, you still just assume that they have it in their hand. So that's going to be his action for the turn. That's all he can do. And the last thing that's all he can do in terms of actions and upgrades. And now he just needs to attack. Sure, he's going to send Fireflight in. Or Fireflight. Why do I always do that? Fire Drive. Fireflight, Fire Drive. Into the Bumblebee here. They're talking about something here. I have no idea what they're talking about. Whoa. Hold on here, buddy. Oh, okay. I apologize. Never mind. I'm clearly not paying attention. So when he flipped the blaster, he flipped Treasure Hunt off of the blaster effect, letting him play that for free. So he got 2 free cards off of that, and then he played his upgrade for the turn, playing the Grenade Launcher. I was going to say, Judge, Eric's cheating. That's my bad. I'm not paying attention. I also didn't see if he drew his card off Fire Drive. I missed it. But, guys, you're playing Fire Drive immediately. As soon as you tap it, just draw the card. Don't forget to draw. Like I said, I've seen a couple players just straight up miss it. Could potentially cost you the game because, while that card you would have drawn, it would have helped you on your next turn. Definitely try not to forget your draw. So go ahead and put over half of a B's health is out of there. With 9 health, 9 damage on it rather. So very sizable attack. Let's see what Joe plans here though. Could be like game 1, where you just all out attacks, start your engines, all out attacks, and just goes in. Joe's being very careful how he constructs his turn. Goes to touch Prowl, and he's going to touch B. He wants to do some flipping, not sure. So his decision isn't clear cut. I guess he doesn't have start your engines, I'm going to assume. Because I feel like that would have been the first card he would have played immediately. Okay, but he has Ready for Action. So he plays Ready for Action. Oh, just about the same thing. Okay. So he didn't have to start your engines to give the Prowl. So everything's the same here except for the start your engines versus the Ready for Action, because he wasn't able to flip the Prowl to flip everybody back to give everyone Bold 2. So this is still going to be devastating no matter what though. So no Bold 2, but he's going to attack into the Fireflight. Or maybe not as devastating, because you know what? He has to attack into the Fireflight again. Because that's his only all of Joe's characters can attack, but they have to attack in the Fireflight, who's now dead. Got a Bastion Shield here. Decide if you want to get it back. Bastion Shield's not that good in this matchup, because normally the only Force Field you see dropped is the one that Ram Horn drops, and is not likely to see two or so Force Fields in one game, usually. So, probably not going to get that Bastion Shield. At least most orange games I've played against. Okay, so Eric decides to put the Duo Cannon on Ramhorn, and he's going to have Cliff Jumper attack into, I'm going to assume, oh no, okay, let me back up here. So Anticipation Engine on start your, hit start your engines, untapping the Cliff Jumper, and he's going to attack into Blaster. And that's going to almost KO Blaster. Anticipation Engine again flips Data Pad, but he misses, but he's going to attack Blaster again. And right there, guys, I think that's what wasn't supposed to happen. I think the WTC ruled that Cliff Jumper won't be able to attack again. He can only attack that one time because it was recognized as untapped when he activated all out attacks. So that wasn't supposed to happen. But again, this was before the ruling. So shame on you, Joe. So I can know I'm joking. But so like I said, none of us knew till afterwards. So that's just unfortunate that this happened like this, you know. But keep in mind, this was prior to the WTC ruling last week. So now Eric, just like game one, is just in that rough position. As you can see, again, that dice roll, like I mentioned before, it seems like it's the dice roll put that distinct advantage, that cards have, and the same with the blaster deck, being able to get that first damage on, the opponent's most important character. So Eric's got a lot of work to do here. He can kill B this turn, but then still got to deal with Prowl and Cliff Jumper, both at full health, so it's not looking good for Eric, unfortunately. Counting how many cards he wants to pitch in his hand for his dual cannon. Joe got very lucky there, flipping that start your engines. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. He's playing 3 ready for action, 3 start your engine, and 3 turbo booster. You got 9 untapped cards. I can see WTC hitting those cards eventually. No, don't do that. I love cards. Don't do that, WTC. Speaking of like limiting cards and stuff, thinking from my past trading card game experience, making a like limited list would be I think would be fine too. Like the talk's been about press day advantage, about how powerful it is, and WTC saying that they kind of regret making that card, or at least probably I'm sure making it a green icon, or having a green icon, or it should have just had a green and not an orange and a green. So something should have gave. Either shouldn't have had a green or could have had the green but not the orange, and that probably wouldn't have mattered as much not having the orange. So maybe it should have just not have had the green at all. But maybe I was gonna say limiting a card like press day advantage to 1, so that when your opponent gets the 1 and they play the 1, it's like, all right, they're not gonna get it again for a while. All right, so we're gonna attack with Ramhorn, pitching a whole bunch of cards and attacking into B. Ensuring the kill there. Alright, so Joe, Data Pad and Anticipation Engine. Those 2 cards pretty much act as Battlefield Legend with Data Pad. Because Data Pad, you draw a card and you can stack an action, then you can play the action off of the Battlefield Legends effect. So it's pretty much the same thing. But you need Anticipation Engine in this situation. So, wow. And there's the broken play that's not so broken again. But yeah, still pretty cool though. Not gonna lie. So what he did was he drew a card for Data Pad, then he stacked Start Your Engines, and then Anticipation Engine flipped to Start Your Engines to untap to be able to attack again. Or not attack again rather, but to untap, so he'll be able to get 2 attacks on the Ramhorn. And even if Eric had another force field for the Ramhorn, one of the characters will break the force field and the other character will just kill the Ramhorn for game, unfortunately. So I don't even know if Ramhorn can actually kill either of these characters. Doesn't look likely at this point, unfortunately. So again, before the rule change, that's still pretty cool to see. If it worked out how Joe is playing it, that was some insane turns that he had with Anticipation Engine. So can't front some of these cards that are coming up and coming about now. I definitely looked at and dismissed them, and I'm looking at them in a different light now. But only with certain decks, like cards like Scrounge and Metal Detector for Shockwave. They only work with Shockwave. They're still not just good all-around cards, Anticipation Engine seems very good with this deck, and even like I saw Scott playing it as well. Scott Landis playing it in his ranged Shockwave, because it's that same. You're able to look at the top card of your deck at any time. So if it's an action, you can just play it on the character, attack, and get the guaranteed action. So which is pretty cool. So Eric, very honorable. He's just going out like a champ, doing what he can. Me personally, I would have been scooped here. I can see that it's over. I'd be like, all right, yep, you got me. Yeah, and there's the handshake. Okay. So, wow. Very insane plays there from Joe in that anticipation cards. And Blaster, you know, with all his free stuff was definitely very good, but it just wasn't able to hold up enough before, you know, Joe got going with his all-out attacks, and, you know, Bumblebee getting him cards, Cliff Jumper getting him a free card. Joe was able to see all of his power cards, you know, ASAP, and that's all there was to that. In terms of side decking, I can't imagine exactly. I mean, besides Joe, well, I didn't see his side deck, but like maybe force fields. I don't know exactly what he. I know he's not like a big fan of side decking still yet. So, but yeah. Okay, so a quick post-match analysis, just talking about a couple things again. Clearly, you can see going first was the most ideal for each player. Joe being able to flip B first turn to draw a card with Cliff Jumper and then attack it to the Blaster. That way, in future turns when Joe has to attack it to Blaster again, it'll be a lot easier to KO him. And, you know, on the flip side, Eric being able to flip Blaster first turn, play a free card, attacking into the B is going to shy Joe away from wanting to attack with the Lieutenant B back into into Eric's Fire Drive, which would, you know, sent in to attack the B, because the B already has damage on it, and depending on how much damage he has on it, depending on what cards Eric has in his hand, you know, quick grenade launcher, erratic lightning, reckless charge, or supercharged grenade launcher, or, you know, the best two, reckless charge grenade launcher on his ram horn, you know, could just about, if not KO the Bumblebee, and that'll really put a wrench in Joe's plans of his untapping and his extra action off of B, and, you know, all the other good stuff. So yeah, winning the dice roll is definitely a thing. There are some matchups where you definitely want to go second, but this matchup clearly you definitely want to go first. So hey, shout out to Joe in Wreck and Roll, shout out to Bacon Ice Cream Productions and Mr. Eric. Great match, two great players going at it. Eric's still fishing for his invite, but you got till the 30th of this month. I know you'll get it. You know, you're definitely gonna get there. Not even worry about you, bro. You're gonna get it. So yeah, with that, be looking out for Friday's match. You know, Joe with his anticipation cards versus Brian Klein, I want to say his name is, affiliated with Vector Sigma, playing Dan's build of Specialist Shockwave. So Specialist Shockwave, because I think every character is, I think, Dinobot, Swoop, and Skydive, and then you know, field communicators and all that good stuff. So mixed deck, and I think they just did a deck tech on it today, and so check out their channel for that, and that'll be it for me. So as usual, you know how it goes. You guys have a great day and or a great night whenever you're catching this video. This is S. Akuma heading out. Peace.